shoes untied too. That's how you pull up to your premiere with your shoe untied, dude. Watch this. Watch this. This is real trap shit right here. This is real trap shit.
This would get like the best first feature. Right. But I think everybody in this room knows that this young man is beyond that.
That's right.
And giving him this award, we are hoping will open the doors that need to be opened. And I need this room to protect him because they're going to come for him.
Yeah.
They're going to want a piece of him because he's new and he's got a different idea. And they're going to come for him. So you keep his head straight and you make sure he stays true to his vision.
Yep.
Where are the parents?
Yes, right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I told that young filmmaker. I said, keep to it, keep it alive, keep this what you got, don't change that.
We've not seen this kind of work before, and it's time on this planet for new work to pull the curtains back and show us the faces and show us what's behind the faces.
Yeah.
We're counting on you, dude.
Yes.
We're counting.
This the Cali?
This is that Cali kid, yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
We're going down tonight.
Oh yeah.
Let's skate.
Close it! Close it!
All the supply and demand we need, bro, we'll be set. And Mr. Columbo throwing his breath on top of it.
It happened for a reason, right?
Hey, we are where we are. No fuck ups this time.
To get in, we bled. The only way out is death.
You're under arrest, motherfucker. How's that, huh? Yo, we lost, bro. It's fucking over. Your fucking hands on your back. I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
That was the trailer for the award-winning 2022 Queens World Film Festival official selection feature film called Trap. My name is Mr. M. I'm a board member here at the Queens World Film Festival. And today we have the pleasure of talking with rising star Anthony Curry, the producer, director, writer of Trap. All right, so before we bring him on, I just want to let you know what Trap is about. Trap, the synopsis of Trap is facing life in prison, a hood dreams of the violent streets that forge his identity, but cursed his soul. So this film, if you haven't seen it yet, you can go see it on the streaming on Film Festival Flicks as part of the Queens World Film Festival's official online version of the film festival, right? And or virtual film festival. So I had the pleasure of seeing this film at the film festival, screening at the Museum of Moving Image. Nice big audience, nice big screen with the great surround sound. It was beautiful. And I hope you can see it. So to give us more insight on this film, like I said, we have the director, writer, producer of Trap. And without further ado, I'm not going to say anymore. I'm going to bring him on right now, Mr. Anthony Curry.
Bro, what's good?
What's going on? How you doing?
Living the dream, bro.
All right. So I said a little bit about the film. I read the synopsis. I want you to further give us some insight on what Trap is as a film, because it's kind of hard to put it into words and or into just one box of a type of film or genre of film. So give us a little insight on what Trap is, Anthony.
So Trap's a story told about where I grew up. So it's like a story from the inside out. And basically, I just wanted to tell like a story of like the American Gothic. I wanted to tell originally I was trying to make a Western, and I feel like I kind of did that. You know, there's this idea of like you know, moral code, or like you know, a silence among men, or like you know, just like there's a formality of what I was trying to, and I was trying to make a movie that was like more like a tapestry, like with images coming from all different directions, and like told under this like fragment of like these riots that happened in Asbury Park in the 70s. So like the movie almost feels like a riot when you're watching it. It's like a, you know, just images coming from all different directions.
Right. So if you had to, you know, if you had to limit it and put one genre on top of it, what genre would you call it? What would you call it? What type of genre would you call this film?
It's so hard to genreize it, but I was always like, oh, fuck genre kind of, but I guess it's like a crime thriller. I guess that's how people have been putting it, like a crime film.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like some people are like, yo, it almost feels like a documentary of like that certain time in Asbury Park. Like you created like a world, like, and honestly, in 10 or 20 years, like Asbury Park might not be the same that it is now. So it's like a good like image of this time.
Snapshot of the area.
Right.
So you said crime thriller? You would put it in somewhere in a crime thriller?
Yeah, something like that. It's like a modern day Western. Let's call it a modern day Western crime thriller or something.
Well,
But
we could call it whatever we want, right? But at the end of the day, I feel like when you have a niche that people already know of, it kind of allows you to access that audience, right? So I guess that's why I'm asking, like, because it's when people don't know what to expect, they kind of sometimes it can affect the viewing experience, right?
right.
But I think even in all of the ways you describe the film, it definitely describes the film. But you know, I'll be interested to know what would you or we have some more guests, people who are involved with the film. I think I'm gonna ask them the same thing. What would they characterize it as? You know, but
I guess like a crime thriller is like a good way to put it. But it's like I've been chasing this like liquid narrative, so it's like it's a movie, like when you watch it, it's gonna be like something you've never seen before. And that's what everybody's who has seen it has said. Like it's very new and like innovative. Everybody at the premiere afterwards, they kept saying the word innovative. So I've been kind of keeping that in my head. Right.
So I did a little research while we were talking. So according to masterclass.com, what makes a crime thriller? A crime thriller is a crime genre and the thriller genre. So I don't know. It says crime novelties traditionally focus on a criminal who must be apprehended, often by law enforcement, the military, or self-deputized agent of justice. Thematically, the best crime books often circle the theme of good versus, and it cuts off because I'm only on Google.
Right. It's almost like what they're saying. It's almost like a sense. It's like almost like a neo-noir crime film. Like it's very like adherent to like films of like the 30s and 40s of like crime neo-noir type, like, you know, but with a modern day spin of it. Yeah. But like,
I like that. I think you should rock with that for people who aren't as open-minded. I
think,
you know, just crime thriller, you know. But for people who are open-minded, definitely you can throw all the other descriptions in there as well, right?
All right.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen the film. I mean, I'm not even going to sit here and be fake. I had the pleasure of one day I was called to come be an extra, and I ended up in the film, right? But I wasn't there for the whole production. I wasn't there for many scenes. It was just one day. I got to hang out with yourself and your father, and that was really dope. And I was able to somehow make the cut of the film myself, right? But with that being said, you know, the film, it took you some time to create, and it took you a lot of collaboration with the people around you from your neighborhood. So take us back to the beginning. What was the origin story of this film? Because I even though I know some of it, we definitely want the audience to know. How did you come up with this film?
Well, I wrote this flick, or at least started writing it when I was like 16. You know, I was a kid and I was kind of living in that world, without saying too much. But you know, I was kind of writing about the things that were around me and the shit I was seeing. So it's not, you know, it's not truly based on any sort of truth. I've been chasing after this like unreal truth, like chasing after something like taking like the realness or truth and like flipping it on its head.
Right.
I didn't want to just make like a expose on gang violence or anything. I just wanted to make something that felt, you know, from the inside out, rather than, I feel like a lot of movies are told from the outside in rather than the inside out. So yeah, I was a kid, and you know, when I started making it, I didn't think it would take, you know, 6 years or 7 years to finish it. But we started production when I was like 19 or 18. So, and then, you know, there was a lot of variation that kind of slowed the production down. But yeah, it was all, and like the movie has this certain sense of like danger. And I feel like even on the set, like there was this certain sense of danger that was happening, just like the things that were going on around us. And it wasn't like an easy movie to make.
Right. Give us an example of like some of the danger you face while creating this film.
You know, there was like you know, like one of the stars like just got out of, like just did like a 6-year sentence right before, like, and then he came off that and hopped on the set of this. Like there was just a lot of, you know, trying to avoid the cops. You know, some people had warrants. You know, I filled the movie with a bunch of real criminals. So we were all trying to like avoid the wildness of what's going on around it. And then just like in general, just like in the streets there, it was just a wild time.
Right. I could dig it. So basically, we spoke about some of the dangers and the risk that, you know, was involved with it. We talked about the genre and or lack of genre, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, you know, like you said, you wanted to create a world. You know, you was telling a story, even though it didn't have any strong social commentary. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it was just you expressing yourself in this film, like expressing a type of story, expressing a type of way of life, a lifestyle, or some of the things you may have put together, pieced together, and you know that you witnessed growing up. Is that right?
Right, like going through my own imaginative, like taking what's there and then like filtering it through my own imaginative, and then kind of like I was putting all these like chemicals into a bottle and then shaking it up and kind of documenting the explosion. And I think everybody in it like did a fantastic, you know, there's only maybe like 2 or 3 or like, you know, professional actors. Everybody else is kind of just real person or just like from the streets, or, you know, a lot of my family's in it. So like, you know, just kind of like this mixed media of, you know, people around me. And it's like a impression of like my life at the time.
Right. I can dig it, man. So basically, it's like a dream itself, right? So I think I heard you say that before, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
like a trippy dream. It's kind of like you go to bed, you got all this shit on your mind, and then you just kind of like see it all in different bits and pieces in different ways and different parts of the story, and end up wherever the fuck you end up, right?
Right, like a hallucinatory experience. And then it's for them to experience it. Like it's for the audience to experience it. Like, you know, I could explain this movie till my toes fall off, but like it's a sense where like somebody who watches it might be able to tell me more about it than I might know, you know.
True work of art. Then.
It's like I just put a camera in front of these people, and then, you know, and then it kind of captured itself. And like even in the editing, it was like the movie just told itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just guided it. I like held its hand while the movie kind of just took the rest of the way, you know.
So how much of the treatment and or script did you end up throwing out in this process?
There was a lot of rewriting. We rewrote a lot. Just with, you know, the characters were changing in front of me as I was making it. So it was, and I didn't want to like neglect that. I wanted to chase that. I'm always in it, like even, excuse me, in a certain sense, I would like, you know, shoot the same scene in just different locations.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could have this conversation here, and then, you know, then we could be outside, and then we're in the car, but like we're having the same conversation. So I've been playing with this notion, and I think I'm gonna do that in most of my films, because you know, I've been kind of like throwing the idea of like continuity and stuff like that out the window. But yeah, the film was rewritten plenty, people can't make it, actors drop out. A lot of the time these kids are hard to wrangle in, so it's like, oh, they couldn't show up today, so let's figure something else, let's shoot something else, or it's just like we were like going with the energy that was going on around us, and like really chasing that.
Right. I can see that. It comes through, but it also comes through that it was still a lot of thought put into it. So I would hate for you to cheat yourself into making it seem like you kind of just were playing around, like you weren't playing.
Oh, no. Everything, like, I've been calling it almost riffing. Like, it wasn't even a sense we were improvising, because I knew what I wanted. I knew what I had to get. I knew what I had to capture. But it was about, like, letting them riff. And I don't like the word improvisation. I've been using this word like I treat it like guitar riffing. Like, you have the initial idea, and then you kind of just move to the groove, like jazz almost. Like you're just playing to the keys, like, and wherever the keys lead you, like that's where you're gonna keep chasing or keep going after it.
Yeah, that's what makes certain type of music so brilliant. So speaking of like reggae, rock, jazz, these type of art forms when it comes to music, like it's not so cookie cutter that it can't, gain a energy of its own, right? So
Right.
like the hook may not come out the same the next time the hook may come around, or the bridge might be a little, it's fluid, right? So
And that's how I was thinking with trap. Like it's almost like I was using the editing and using the filmmaking almost as like a hip hop beat where there's like hoops or like loops and hooks, where it's like there's like this repetitive notion of that like liquid where you could get into like a trance, almost like transcendental filmmaking, where it's almost like, it's trippy. It trips you out sometimes when you're watching it. Like
it's definitely trippy. It's definitely
yeah.
so walk me through your process of being okay with it being so violent. Like like were you trying to, was that on purpose, or did you like, what, I want to see all of these characters die, or like, because it was a lot of violence in the film, right?
Well, I think Asbury Park is kind of filled with a lot of violence, and even in some of like the the radio spots or like the one section of the film, you hear like news reports, and like a lot of the stuff is like real stuff. So Asbury Park was like number 2 most violent city in New Jersey. So I think it kind of all just stems from what's already there.
Right.
But
So did you have any qualms with, at any point, or did anybody who was making the film with you have any qualms and say, hey man, maybe everybody shouldn't die? Like,
yeah, well, Brandon Howland, who's one of the leads, he didn't his cat he didn't want to die. He was like, yo, I want to come back for the sequel, bro. Like, I don't want to fucking die.
well, I'm
But
gonna give it away. Everybody doesn't die, but a lot of people die. Let me just say that. A lot of people.
right. But I think that comes with like almost the story that's being told. Like you get into that lifestyle, and they talk about it in the film. Like
Only one way out.
there's like one way. It's like in a box. Like either that box is a pine box or it's a cement box. Like in a prison, it's like a a coffin or a prison cell. It's like there's only two it, and so you kind of had to show it has to be violence in it.
Yeah, nah, I agree.
But I don't know. My grandma, because I was worried. My grandma was at the screen, and I was like, grandma, like it's a little violent, like it's a violent film. And then afterwards, she was like, no, it wasn't that violent. And now I'm like, damn, I should have kicked it up a notch. I was like, even my grandma, I was like, nah, that's. She's from like She grew up in like Livingston, like Elizabeth in the 40s. So she probably seen worse than what's at Netflix.
Nah, let me assure you, it was definitely violent. Okay, so you did good, did your job. She might have been trying to spare you a little bit, like
maybe she didn't want me to feel so bad.
but so I guess what I'm getting at is tell us what your influences are, right? Because at the film festival, I met people who met you at I think one of the actors and some of the people that were supporting you in the audience. They all said they met you at like horror cons and things like that. So tell us, and I met you myself at Trauma Dance, which if anybody doesn't know what Trauma is a cult. They have a cult classic they put out called The Toxic Avenger, which is, I guess, categorized as like a B movie
Right.
or like, but it's a cult classic and it's very gory itself, right? And all the films that Trauma puts out is gory. So tell us about like the type of films that you enjoy and that inspired you coming up.
Yeah, I think horror movies were like my invitation to like exploring like more obscure cinema. Like it kind of helped me find art house films and helped me found like kind of just the stuff you don't see every day, or like that you like blinded by the mainstream movies, or like but I think I grew up on a lot of horror films, and then that kind of led into finding Dennis Hopper and Martin Scorsese and Harmony Korine films and David Lynch and Pierre Pasolini, and then you dive into like Orson Welles, and then you're finding like the Italian neorealist films, and then you're going into the French New Wave, and then you're finding like all these variables. And I think all those are like the residue under the surface of like your inspiration. I think all those stories and everything you've seen, like even art or photographs or music, like it'll all bleed into your work without you even knowing it. So I try to sometimes when I'm making a movie too, I try not to watch too many things. Like, right. I'll do a lot more reading and go to art galleries and listen to maybe music that I don't listen to all the time, just because sometimes when you watch too many movies, the movie will try to reflect itself in what you're doing at the point. I don't want anything to steer me in a certain direction. But when I'm not making a movie, I'm a cinephile. Like, I was at the movies last night. Like, I see everything.
Right.
At least I tried.
It comes across, and it also comes across that you're not trying to, as we would say in the hip hop world, bite too, right? So,
right.
It's one thing to pay homage and tilt your hat to things and be influenced by. It's another to just have a mashup piece. Which, I mean, some mashup pieces could still be, pretty, pretty big,
right.
And still have a life of its own. I.e.,
I just wanted to create something that was new. Like, if I ever felt like I was chasing something, or if I've seen it before, I would like run the completely other way. Because if its story's already been told, what's the point of me telling it again? And the crime thriller story has been told hundreds of times. It's been written about since the beginning of film. One of the first films was about a robbery. So it's like, it's just about trying to reinvent it. I think Kubrick said, like, every time you go out and make a movie, you try to reinvent the cinema. And I kind of, maybe that's like a mantra of mine or something.
Yeah, what I like to say is there's nothing new under the sun. It's just the way it's done. So
right.
For me, I get what you're saying, because even like I came up around a lot of artists, like music artists, right?
Right.
And a lot of the great artists that I know, they also don't like to listen to a lot of other artists when they're making a project, because they don't want to sound like the next guy.
Like you said, you don't want to bite or whatever. It's biting.
Right. But at the same time, there's nothing new under the sun. It's just the way it's done. So me personally, my approach when I do any type of work or with anything is I like to see who did similar to what I want to do, right? And then I just make sure I'm doing it different. You know what I mean? I think for me, that's what helps me. But we all have what helps us. But I get you, because it will leak. It will leak into your work. You know what I mean? Especially if it's fresh on your mind. And my first film was a mockumentary, so I had to look at a bunch of people. I was literally mocking situations and then like turn them on their head. So, which you were able to see when you was
kicking babies and shit.
What you was able to see that film when you was way too young. You was way too young to see that. But I met you 10 years ago at Trauma Dance, like I said, because I was invited by Lloyd Kaufman and the founders of the Queens World Film Festival. That's how we connected, and I was able to
shout out to Kath and Don too. They're family, and the way they represented trap and the way they shown the film, and then receiving the Cinema Auteur award, it was like truly a blessing. They're like the most beautiful people. They're great.
Yeah, we skipping ahead of just a little bit, but definitely salute the
press. I just wanted to say it. I just wanted.
No, not that part. I definitely salute the Kath. As far as the award part, we didn't get to the award.
Yeah.
But while we here, you know what I mean? Yes, Preston and Cather, they definitely appreciate people who put their heart, mind, body, and soul into film, right? They're not pretentious. They're not looking for people with the biggest budget. They're not looking for people with the most shiniest produced project and the most cookie cutter film and all of that, like a lot of these other big film festivals are. But Queens World Film Festival is a big film festival as well, but not like the other ones, not like their counterparts. They're really looking for people to put ingenuity, originality into their film. And then once they see that, they definitely do a good job at rewarding and recognizing it. And they were able to recognize you, which that was amazing to see. And they gave you what award? What award was that? Say it
The
one more.
Queens World Cinema Auteur Award, which they've only given to 2 people. I think I might be the 3rd or 4th person they've given that award to.
Yeah, it's not an award they give out often, so it's actually reserved for very special projects like yourself. So with that being
And it's
said,
funny, 2 years ago in the press they were calling me an amateur, so I was like, just take off a few letters. Now it's auteur. Yes.
you got to start somewhere. So me personally, I like being the new guy at the job.
And honestly, the thing about being an amateur and not knowing is like almost a blessing, because the more you don't know is the more you can be free and like not so comfort. Even for my next movie, I'm thinking about how I can, tighten it up or just make a real crew and not have it be so. And it's just like with Trap, it was like so free. It's freeing. It was like just a blank canvas, and I was just painting it, and I could throw on whatever paint I want, whoever I wanted to bring into it, I could, it was like, it's the most freeing. And that's why I'm like grateful that like a movie like Trap exists in like the current climate of cinema, because it's just told from one, the auteur theory of told from the author of the director is the author of the film.
But there are going to be some instances where you're going to have to conform to the wisdom of the people that came before you and the structures that are already in place.
Right.
But at the same time, you should never lose that creativity and freedom. So I just implore you to just keep that freedom, keep that sense of freedom. If you ever want to go left instead of right, go ahead and try it out. Once again, I'll take it back because you're a music head yourself. So I'll take it back to like when I used to be in the studios a lot with hip hop artists and shit. They'll say a great producer. What I always notice a great music producer say with the artist is the artist want to do something, whether the producer believes in it or not. The producer will say, "Try it."
Right.
Just go try it.
The worst thing you could do is do another take, like what are you there another 20 minutes, whatever, just do it again, try it this way, try it this way. Like
Exactly.
we were talking about earlier with the riffing, it's like, you're playing off the idea, and I call it a mistakous art form. Like sometimes the mistakes were the best parts, were the stuff that's most memorable. Like everybody was mentioning the turtle in the thing, and that was a complete accident. Like that was just there, and we shot it, and I was like, this might be on the cutting room floor, but let's try it. And it ended up being like, I had 6 people talking to me about the turtle, and I was like, this is something that I didn't even think about. So like the mistakous art form is like, I think that's like a perfect way to put it.
I think, speaking of the turtle, for the audience members who are watching this, that's how artistic this film is, right? Like, even though we were talking about the violence and, the crime and everything about this film stands out and everything adds on to it, including, yes, a turtle. The turtle made a cameo, and it was an impressive cameo. All right. So with that being said, you have a lot of people looking at you like you're the next thing in film. I myself, when I introduce you to people, you've witnessed me tell people, hey, this guy is the next big thing in film. How does that make you feel? Is it like a little is it weird, or do you feel that yourself, or is it like, chill, or don't introduce me as that, let me just find my way? Like how do you feel when people look at you as the next greatest thing in film? Because even Katha herself in the beginning of your film did this beautiful speech and told this whole audience of like 200 plus people, we gotta protect this guy, and
Right.
and they're gonna want a piece of him. That's what she said, right? So
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? Is it motivation, or is it scary? Is it both? What's going on in your head when you hear that?
I don't know. I've never been this type of person to like try to dive too deep into my own how I'm feeling, but yeah, there's some like, nerve-wrackingness that comes with it, but it's also like It's great. I wanted this ever since I was a kid. Like, I don't know what came first, being born or making movies. So like, it's what you always want, but they always say like, careful what you wish for, whatever.
Yeah, you will get it.
Right.
You'll get it. With everything that comes with it that you didn't even foresee.
Right.
But I mean, like you said, even as a kid. So I started to say this earlier, right? Like I met you 10 years ago. You were a whole teenager. I was a youth advocate. I still am a youth advocate, right? So it wasn't weird to me to meet a youth that knew what they wanted to do. Actually, it was a breath of fresh air because I'm always trying to encourage young people to like whatever you want to do, start now, right? So when I met you, I just knew that's who you were.
I think I came up to you too.
Yeah, you might. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I was like, like what, what?
Yeah, what brings you here? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I got a film.
I want to see your flick, dude.
I'm chasing distribution right now, and this is my film, right? And it was a little crazy film, and I put you on, and you watched it, and like I said, I introduced you to. I just knew I had to introduce you to Preston and Katha because I just knew even then that I was talking to a filmmaker, right? It was evident. So I feel you when you say you don't know what came first, being born or making film. It's obviously your gift.
And I remember Katha said something to me when she asked me who are my favorite filmmakers, and as a 15-year-old kid, I'm like, oh, whatever, Harmony Korine, David Lynch, Scorsese. I started naming like Buster Keaton, Orson Welles, and she was like, all right. She was like, I want you to dive in before them. I want you to go before. I want you to learn about the start of cinema. Wherever we started with Griffith or whatever, whoever the start of cinema was.
Mm-hmm.
It's like start before that. I remember that, and I did that. I did a lot of watching movies.
Did your homework.
Right. Homework.
Well, you're an impressive person. You're very humble, and I think that's why I wanted to ask you that question that came before this one, as far as like, how do you feel when people put you on a pedestal? Because you're very impressive.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable, I guess, to answer your question. It makes me uncomfortable.
Trust me, I know the feeling. I'm not one who takes compliments. I don't want to say I don't take them well. It's not like somebody gives me a compliment and I'm like, fuck you. It's not that. But when someone gives me a compliment, I'm like, oh, man, that's a lot to live up to.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, that's why I was curious because like I said, it's evident your passion and love for films, the fact that you did your homework, the fact that you're well-studied, the fact that you're a cinephile, everything. So it can only lead to great things, right? So success is scary. It's very fucking scary. And I want to wish you the best. And you got a good team behind you, and including family and friends and associates, everything. And
Thanks.
And this film festival is glad to have you as one of the rising stars that came through Queens World Film Festival. With that being said, I want to bring on the team, some of the team, a piece of the team that helped you with this film, right? So with that being said, let me get my transition right. We got to do transitions, right? We can't just, can't be sloppy with it, right? So there we go. All right, so we have Daniel J. Blackamore, J.D. Brown, and Uncle Jim, who played Bronson, Detective Bronson. Was that or is he's frozen? There you go. There you go. What's the detective name?
Bronson.
Detective Bronson.
Detective Bronson, yeah. And that was my favorite character. I'm not even gonna lie, man. I really, really, truly enjoyed Detective Bronson's role in that film. So I'm going to go one by one and go around the panel and just ask everybody how they participated in the production of this film. We know Uncle Jim was Detective Bronson, but Daniel J. Blackamore, tell me, what was your role in this film?
Helping out Anthony however I could, basically. Trying to lock down some cameras for him, some gear to get things shot. Did a lot of editing, actually, right where I'm sitting. That's why I moved it over here. Get the brick wall vibe. Bunch of special effects, a lot of smoke, gunshots, all that stuff, and it's kind of like a sounding board for Anthony, kind of to just bounce some things off. We watched the movie a few times down here, and I think the first time I was like, I don't know what's going on, but that was a visceral experience, man. Right. That was sick. Right. And then, just throughout the process, whatever he needed, just try to help him out.
So you filmed some of it as well, correct?
My brother actually filmed some
Brother.
scenes.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
wasn't expecting.
which is how we met, right? We met through
Yeah,
Ted. You were working with
Teddy
him.
was the camera operator. I met Teddy on another film shoot, and then he came on and filmed a few scenes where I knew I couldn't hold the camera and act in it. So Ted came out, and then Dan blew me away with like the visual effects he did, and and sometimes at one point I didn't have a camera to shoot on, and Dan like let me use his GH5 to shoot a lot of the flick. So
I was gonna say you look familiar. The one scene that I took part in, I think that was filmed by your brother. I want to say,
Yeah, we're almost identical.
yeah. I was about to say, did I meet you? Yeah, that's definitely.
yeah, you might have met Teddy. I don't know if Dan was at the screening though.
Yeah, I met you at the screening.
Yeah,
for a quick second.
Yeah.
But,
So, what was your experience helping with the production of this film? What was your experience with that?
Let's see. When I first met you, he told me the film was almost done. And then we spent about 2 years in my basement every day trying to figure this thing out. Basically just kind of, like I said, I owned a production company with my brother. Anthony was working with us, we were shooting bar mitzvahs at first, basically, to try to get by, and we'd have some bar mitzvah money. So we'd sit down, and then he'd work on Trap and have some time to flesh some things out, reschedule, because, it's difficult. He was, I saw some frustration with reshoots and getting people to get there on time. And, so that I think it made you more creative, to be honest, and figured other ways to go about how to get your points across. I don't know. Let's see. You started out, you said, I just need a couple gunshots, man. Some smoke here and there. And then it turned out to like 20, 30 scenes we were working on.
Yeah, like, can you get rid of this Adidas logo and like the background?
Oh my God, I forgot about removing all the logos, actually.
Yeah.
That was
Dan got rid of a lot of the visual effects that you see in Trap, like, are stuff you won't even notice, because Dan was getting rid of things and like, taking out logos or stuff we couldn't have in the flick. So Dan did like magic. He did a lot of magic in the flick.
A lot of blood splatter. A lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of blood.
I was about to, when you said that, to me, I haven't said it out loud, right? Because most people I'll be talking to, they won't get it. But it's almost like a curse when you say the film is going to be done at this time. So as soon as you say the film is going to be done, just one more month. That's like 5 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and like Dan came on later in the production. Dan came on when a lot of it was shot. So it was like we had the initial shoot, and then we were coming back to like reshoot or add these like vignettes of scenes, like, because I was talking about like, having scenes come from all different directions, but it wasn't a movie that was shot in like 12 days. It took a long time to make, kind of like Peter Jackson when he made Bad Taste, like making it on weekends with friends and stuff. But this was a little more constructive because I had the idea. I knew what I needed. It was just like, oh, Brandon's in jail. Oh, all right, we can't shoot this week. So, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. All right. Well, it sounds like the experience you had with the film was more than you signed up for. Then, right? Is that fair to say? I mean, not that you.
A little bit, but I love Anthony. We hung out every day, so it was worth it.
Yeah, we ate Taco Bell every day.
A lot of Taco Bell. We should have got sponsored by Taco Bell, basically.
Next
11
time.
a.m. Taco Bell most days.
Next time. Always next time.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna come back to you. But JD Brown, tell us your part. What was your role, and how did you participate in the production of Trap?
So I play Mr. Columbo. He's kind of the kingpin of everything. And so I also met Anthony like 10 years ago. He was 14 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I also am an assistant director, and I was working on a project with the guy, and he was messaging with Anthony about this horror movie that he was working on. So the project that I was ADing, like, we were in pre-production, and it was like a mess. So I told this guy, I was like, hey, get me in this kid's movie. So, I came out, me and this guy acted in it. And, Anthony and I have just stayed in touch since then. He's, I don't know, he feels like my nephew. Uh, and, we've worked on a bunch of different stuff over the years. Like he's been in horror movies. Like I don't think I actually killed him, but I hold him down while he gets killed. And, do some really nasty stuff to him. So, it's hard to say whenever I got involved in this movie because, like, every time I talk to him, we're talking about, a new project. And then this one started to grow. And, I shot only 2 days on this. And those 2 days, I think, were like maybe 4 years apart.
Mhm.
And it was just like I happened to be in New York, and so Anthony comes through with the camera, and we knock out a scene, and then he happens to be in Los Angeles, so he comes by and we knock out another scene. And I feel like what he does really well is he anytime you're making a movie, there's going to be obstacles, especially when you're working with little to no budget. And I think he did a really good job of just like embracing those obstacles and turning those things into positives. And, ultimately it made the movie seem a lot bigger than it would if you were just standing on, on set watching it happen just because he talks about like the danger involved. And it's like so many other filmmakers, when they're shooting something, they're trying to control what happens, they're trying to eliminate the people that are in it. And Anthony's the type of guy that's like, no, come play, like, be a part of this. And I think that's one of the things that he really excels at.
Yeah, he's definitely a natural at that, and natural networker, natural producer, natural director.
And
Um,
he's a good actor too. That's something that doesn't come up a lot, but I think he's great on camera as well.
yeah, you're right. Because he's such a humble person, and but when you watch his character in the film, he's definitely outside of himself in that character. It's not like you're just watching Anthony on screen, right? Even if you
Right.
feel that way, Anthony, we can see that character. You know what I mean? We can
Right,
definitely
right.
see that character. Um, that's a dope story. I feel like when I met him once again, also like 10 years ago. Well, it was 10 years ago. Um, right after that, I moved to California, right? And then I had just moved back to the city the year he was like, "Hey, come shoot for a day." And I'm like, "Okay, I live in New York again." Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Perfect timing, baby.
Yeah, divine timing. It worked out. It definitely worked out. Um, so that's really that's great testimonies to who you are as a filmmaker, man, and how many great people you were able to stay in touch with throughout the years. And it's almost like as soon as you meet somebody and you click, like myself, you kind of like cherish that relationship, and you keep it moving, and you actually find a way to work with people. That's a really
Yeah,
dope thing.
because I think the most intimate thing you could do with a person is create something artistically. Like that's the most intimate beyond any love, like anything, any relationship. I think creating something with somebody is like really beautiful. It's almost like birthing a child or something. It's like everybody's putting their mind into this. Like, I might be the director and auteur, but this is everybody's movie too. Like without these people, I'd be making puppet movies in my basement or something. You know what I'm saying? I'd be making movies about Donald Duck or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I agree. I look at every project I ever been part of as just that.
Right.
Which is why it's disheartening. In which we're not going to change the subject to like sucker shit, but which is why it's disheartening when you ever do fall out with somebody that you had the experience to actually birth a project with. It's like, oh man,
Right.
we got this child of a piece of art together, and now I don't even want to call you. Oh, that sucks. So I'm glad that's not the case here. Uncle Jim.
Hopefully, I'm fucking this all up.
No, first of all, we're pre-recording this. We'll drop it live anyway, so I'm gonna send it to them to put some magic on it too. But don't worry about that. And we're in a virtual space. It's not perfect. Technology is
Yeah.
not perfect, so we're not worried about the dropping in and out. But I'm happy to see you. You were, like I said, I'll say it again. You were my favorite character, right? Usually, officer in a film. When they're not a quote unquote professional actor, sometimes that officer sucks. This was not the case with you. I really enjoyed your performance, and I want you to tell the virtual audience, because I got a little taste of it at the Q&A, how you ended up a part of the film. But it's such a beautiful story. How did Uncle Jim and Anthony Curry ended up working on this film together? Tell us about that.
I've known Anthony since he's been a little kid. We actually did a couple other films together. One called The Tracks, another one called Long Shot. And he was just a little kid, and he was so into it. It was unbelievable. And I took him to a couple of horror conventions, and he just took off from there. It was wonderful to see him like just doing what he wanted to do. And then he asked me about this film, and the first scene was in his garage. I was going to interrogate somebody. I had a few.
No, he'll be back.
Oh, that's such a good story too. I think I gotta let him finish.
I'm gonna guess he had a few drinks.
Yeah.
No, it's technology. It ain't the drinks.
No, he was about to say he had a few drinks.
So in the scene, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, no. But here we go. Let's go. I'm ready for part 2 of this story. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm back.
There you go. So
I'm back. I probably got about 30 seconds before it dies out on me again. So anyway, I had a couple pops. I went over to his house. I said, "How much you want me to go after this?" He said, "I want you to go after it." So he I think he brought one little prop, was an ashtray, and I flipped out.
And he threw the ashtray and broke the ashtray. Like, that's the one thing about Jim. Like, every time that cat gets on screen, like, he gives his all. Like, he goes for it. Like, he goes so hard in the scene, like, just to make, like, and he's not scared to, like, look silly, or like we were talking about the mistake it's art for him. Like, he's the one who got that in my head of, like, let's just go for it. Like, we could just do it again if we need to,
Right.
Yeah, I busted his only prop, the ashtray, in that scene. I just went nuts, and he loved it. And he said, he just told me, "You just keep bringing that feel, and it's on money." And I just tried to bring everything I could to every scene for him, because he was putting everything into it. I said, I'm just laying it out there. I'm going to go for it. And it was a great experience.
Uncle Jim, let me say this, man. I hope you don't mind me calling you Uncle Jim.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, man. Let me say this. Like I said, I enjoy your film, your performance in this film. I enjoy your performance in this film, but you're downplaying yourself just a little bit. So not only did he take Anthony to his first horror conventions and things of this nature, when he says they made films when Anthony was little, these were films that you were producing yourself, but just not for the public, correct? This was...
Yeah. We were using whatever we had, man. We bought a radio out there for the music. We did everything we could. We found places to just do stuff. We just found funny shit to do. And, we all had a good time with it, but Anthony really took to it. But yeah, I did some fun stuff with them guys when they were kids, and it sure did stick.
That has to make you feel extremely proud to say, like, when they were children, I was just showing them how to make a home movie, right, for lack of better terms, and look at them now, right? That's got to be an awesome feeling.
There's people. Yeah, you got me now.
Yep, you're good.
You got me. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that say, be careful, because your dream might lead you down a path of nothing, right? So you got to take that chance and say, I don't give a shit. If it makes me happy and I love what I'm doing, I may not be the richest guy in the world, but I will be rich because I'm enjoying everything that I'm doing every day. But some other people are like, yeah, what's that kid doing, man?
Sucks he keeps copping out, but
it adds to the drama.
But like Jim, but Jim used to make movies with my dad in the 90s too. They used to make movies on like VHS tape, just like, just wild. They were almost like Jackass before Jackass or something. Like maybe not that specific, but they used to make wild VHS movies in the 90s and stuff, like late 90s, before they even had kids, Yeah,
I had the big old VHS thing on my shoulder walking around the beach with it, telling people I was somebody from the news.
I think you guys made hats too. Didn't you get like CBS hats made? Like, and my dad was in a CBS hat.
I got an NBC hat, and I was walking around the beach getting interviews with people. They thought I was really from the news. It was great.
Oh, shit.
So,
You gotta break out some of those videos.
So that's what you were doing with that's what he was doing with your father in the 90s. That part right there.
Yeah.
Basically, being the press.
We got to find the tape. We got to digitize those tapes because that got to be like an extra on the Trap Blu-ray or something. You know what I'm saying? Like they got to be seen. But like, you know, that's just stuff he made in, you know, for nobody, just to kind of show his friends. But like, I think that's like the most in it, you know, like that artist intuition of just like, I'm just gonna make this kind of for myself, and you know, if people see it, they see it. If they don't, they don't. But like, it's like we got to do it, and we had a really good time doing it.
That is hilarious. Walking up to people as the press. I think I did something similar once upon a time too. Leave that alone.
Hey guys, obviously I ain't got much time on here with this shit phone I'm using.
It's all good, man.
Well, I just want to say how much I appreciate, you know, the Queens World Film Festival for appreciating Anthony and the time I had there. I drove up there in a limo with all my friends, and they couldn't believe it, you know, seeing me on the big screen. Like, that was just really freaking amazing. And I got to thank you, you know, really was cool. And what you did for Anthony and all, I mean, just exposing him like that is a dream come true. So thank you, man.
No problem. Thank you. And that was a pleasure. And, you know, it was a pleasure. I was glad to play just a small part in all of that. And, yeah, man, this guy is definitely a rising star. He's already a star. He's already a filmmaker. Say he was born a filmmaker. And I want to thank you for cultivating that in him at such a young age, too. That's super dope. That's super dope.
Yep.
Some things just come together so perfectly, right? So that's awesome. So with that being said, Anthony, what was your experience like at the Queens World Film Festival? Just give the people a little. How did you feel your experience was at the festival?
Oh, that was magic, especially seeing it in a theater that I used to go to. You know, I lived in Brooklyn, and I worked at the U.S. Open for years, and we used to go. Me and my friend Brian, who was actually at the screening too, we used to go to the Museum of the Moving Image. Like, they did like a Scorsese retrospective, they did like a Kubrick retrospective, and we just like loved that place. Like, that was like, and then like years later, like while I was making that movie, you know, I was working at the US Open to pay for this movie and doing all these odd jobs, whatever, working at a you know, bouncer at a club, doing the, you know, odd jobs here and there just to pay for this flick. And then, you know, then years later, it's like that was our premiere. Like, that was the first time, you know, I'd done like kitchen premiere. Like, I might have showed Dan in his basement or something, like the movie, or like we did a screening in Uncle Jim's basement. Like, I only showed people involved, but like that was the first time anybody like really saw that movie with, you know, the 5.1 surround, and then the experience, like, you know, the standing ovation, and then winning the award earlier in the day. Like, it was just like, it was like you can't even, it's hard to put it even in the words, like how it made me feel. It was very like cathartic. Plus there was, you know, there was a lot of hard trips like in personal life, I think, for everybody during the making of this movie. We went through a pandemic during the post-production. Like, there was a lot of like, it was just cathartic. It was cool to see everybody in a theater seeing a movie, because I think a movie like Trap deserves to be seen in a theater. I think, you know, I think it's important. I mean, I want everybody to see it, but seeing it in the theater is like, it's immersive. So it brings you into that. And it like, I think Dan, I think you said this to me after the screening. You were like you don't watch Trap watches you. I think that you said that to me after the screening, but if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that you were like, it's almost like Trap watches you. It's not even like you're watching this movie. It's like you're experiencing Trap, like the real Asbury Park.
That's what I've always felt about it. It's visceral. It's like tones. It's a feeling when you watch this. It's like, it's more than just like, all right, let's see what the story's all about. It's like, you know, from the beginning, it's like, oh, what are we getting into here, you know? And by the way, I think, you know, the final version of the film was so good, man, so genius, because I hadn't seen it finished like that. You know, the last time I saw it, it started out with, you know, the Butts interrogation. It was totally different, man. And
right.
you did such a good job with it.
Thank you.
So we haven't really talked to that too much after the screening.
Right.
I was blown away, man, seeing it huge and everything. I was like, this isn't just the introduction of Trap. This is the introduction of Anthony Curry to the world, and I'm here for it. So I just, I feel lucky as hell to be part of this whole project with you. Even though I came on late, I feel like I've been doing it for a while. Like,
No, and we put a lot of work into those VFX. Like you said, I was over his house almost every day for a year, during a pandemic of like doing these effects, like little by little, like helping him do edits for a wedding video we shot the week before so he can work on the thing, and I'm not making money on the edit, but we're like exchanging favors and like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like everybody put their soul into this film and like it shows like when you watch it. It's really like everybody put like, and it's like I'm grateful as a filmmaker that I got to do that because we're what we spend on this movie is what a major Hollywood studio probably spends on their toilet paper or something. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, speaking of that, I had a friend that came to watch the movie at the premiere, and they asked you a question at the Q&A that was regards to like budget. And in true filmmaker fashion, especially young filmmaker fashion, you're like, well, whatever the budget I have, I'm just going to use it. I don't care if I got $1 or $1 million. I'm going to, make film.
Right.
But I think what he was trying to hip you to was that, like, you see how you speak about how long the process took. When you have that budget up front, and that's something I learned as well, it's totally different, right? So even if the budget is small, that just means we have less days, but we stick to the script now. So it's like, okay, we only got, I don't know, say 50,000. Well, we're gonna have 20 days of a shoot. We're gonna do a 20-day shoot, and then after that, we're gonna work it out. And we're gonna use elbow grease, and we're gonna figure out how to use the rest of this money, right? So, is that something that you see yourself proactively going after for your next film? Is just having the budget up front?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was an initial stuff, and then things happen in life that kind of towards it down. But yeah, for the next one, like we're starting the next one pretty soon, and yeah, we're gonna get something up front. It's gonna be a little different than how Trap was made. It's not gonna take 7 years to make. It'll probably take maybe 1 or a couple months or something.
Right. Well, at least the shooting might take.
Right. I always say like 6 months for.
That's gonna be my new character right here. You're my new character. I'm gonna be trying to get me focused in here, but you gotta try to see you guys. No, it might be funny, but I'm not sure. With Anthony doing it, I think you're gonna like it.
Mm-hmm. I think we're gonna like it.
I think you might like it.
Yeah.
All right then. All right then.
Not Mike. I know we're gonna like it, but I'll say this: judging on the feedback you got from this film, listen, man, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people willing to put in when it's time to crowdsource. So, I look forward to seeing what you create next. I definitely hope that you keep a lot of the same people involved because that energy, that synergy that everybody had to help create this project, and especially everybody's relationship with you in particular, right? That respect that everyone has for you, and that that faith that we all have in you, it translates into film, right? Because you have faith in your director and everything else for you to really come across the right way as an actor. JD Brown, before we get about it, anything you want to say in regards to Trap and inviting the people to see it when they can,
Yeah, I mean, definitely if you can catch it in a theater, do that. I'm just excited everybody's getting to see what Anthony's, I feel like half of his life has been building up to this moment. So I'm just happy that like you said, it's like a baby being born. So I want everybody to pass it around and get to hold it.
Yeah, and with that being said, when it's in theater by you, yes, please go check it out. However, right now it's going to be available on it's streaming on Film Festival Flix as part of the Queens World Film Festival's virtual leg. So even if you can just watch it on your computer, your phone.
Only the December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We're doing the final 3 days of the festival. You'll be able to the virtual side of the festival. So filmfestivalflix.com. The 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, you can watch Trap.
Absolutely.
I think it's like a $10 pad, and you can watch it virtually. But
yeah. So
yeah.
if you happen to see this in time, if you're paying attention, if you're following the Queens World Film Festival on Facebook and YouTube, if you see this in time, please go ahead and do yourself a favor and watch Trap. All right. So,
But let me say, if you can like Roku it to a TV, like a big TV, or like with some type of good speakers, like I know I want everybody to watch the movie, but you know, don't watch it on your phone or something.
no.
try to
Watch it. Hold on, let me shut his mic off. Watch it however you can watch it.
watch it however you want. But if you can like Roku it to your TV, that'd be great.
However, because listen, it's not something you're going to just watch once anyway. So
right.
You know, and then if you want to bring it to a theater in your town, feel free to email Anthony Curry. So this is the part of the game where you do your festival year and you do as many screenings, as you can. Right. This is the part of this. This is the stage he's in right now. So right now you can get in at, dare I say, the ground level, you know, before this guy is too busy. I'm not going to say he's going to be ever unapproachable, but he's going to definitely be too busy at one point in time in his life. So right now, during his festival year for Trap, you want to go ahead and email him or reach out to him on social media and say, hey, come bring this to my town and rent that theater, you know, and you guys split the movie, the ticket sales. It's really, you know, basic black and white business. So Anthony, give them the email and or social media where they can follow and contact you.
I'm on Instagram, just Anthony Edward Curry. You can find me on Facebook. If you go to therealasburypark.com, we're under construction for the website, but if you go to therealasburypark.com, it'll lead you to the Facebook page. And I'm pretty active on it, so if you message the Trap Facebook page, or we could stay connected, however. But yeah, I'm pretty active on social media and stuff, so.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, reach out to him. Don't just say hello. Reach out to him to bring this film to your town. All right, this is the town. This is the time for that. This is the time for that. We don't need to for him. I mean, he very well might be picked up by any of these companies that's smart enough to, you know, see what's going to happen in here. But let's not rely on that, right? If you see this film and you watched it on your phone or whatever, and you're like, no, we got to see this on a big screen, and I want to bring all my friends, email him. Talk to them. What's your email? What's the email that they can email you?
It's pureimaginationpictures@gmail.com.
There you go. There you go. You know, so I want to thank everybody for their time. Thank you, Daniel, JD, Uncle Jim, my guy. I appreciate you. And of course, the rising star of the hour, Anthony Curry. Thank you for bringing this team together.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do. TRAP, which is an acronym for The Real Asbury Park. All right, make sure you guys watch it. We're going to get up out of here. This ain't the last you're going to hear of us. You're going to see us all. Much more to come. We out of here. All right.
Thank you for having us, Mr. M. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Bob.
No problem. Good talking.
Love you guys.
Thanks a
All
lot.
right. See you guys. Peace.
Uncle Jim, I'm going to call you.
There's an old adage that says that you write what you know. What do you know? Is this a reflection of your experiences, or is that imagination that creative?
Don't say too much.
Hey, it's my job.
Yeah, let's not incriminate anybody. Nah, I don't know shit. I don't know a damn thing.
That's the right answer. That's the right answer.